How has failure shaped your life? Really ask yourself that question. I've literally interviewed hundreds of people on the Prime People podcast, incredible guests that would blow your mind. And it's the last question I typically ask every single one of them. And I have an end game. My end game is to literally take clips of every single one of those guests and compile them into one long video. And the reason is every single time I ask people that question, how has failure shaped your life? They light up. Every single person that I've met that has achieved a level of success is more excited when I ask that question than probably anything else in the podcast. And the answers I have really do spread the gamut. And the biggest indicator of success that I find when I talk to these people is how they weigh the word failure is very different than your average person, right? Because when I say that question, and I've even seen it in a glimmer of some of their eyes, there comes with a negative weight, right? People hear the word failure and they start thinking about moments in their life that shook them to their core, they felt a certain way about, and they realize a moment after how it actually shaped them to be the person that they are today. And I think I screwed up a lot in business. If I think back to my real estate career, I started off as a person that wanted to sell one house with my wife. We were a team, right? Small, little, tiny office. And then wanted to be somebody that sold a bunch of houses in a neighborhood. Then I wanted to sell a lot of houses in the city. And then we started expanding our territory. And then next thing I'm thinking of now, our vision is to become the most trusted name in real estate globally, which sounds a little bit crazy for a small team that started off in southwestern Ontario, Canada, just north of Michigan, right? Not a massive population base, but an emerging market. Volkswagen's building the biggest EV battery plant in North America in our market, right? And in 20 to 40 years, as people are moving infrastructure down the highway to our market, guess who's poised to be the most trusted name in real estate in our area? Now, I tried a lot of things that didn't work. I chased the wrong fit clients. I can remember one of my biggest perceived screw ups was I got a mandate for let's say, I won't say the exact number, but 100 plus home subdivision, multi-phase subdivision. They were really struggling with sales. They were looking for a different look when it comes to marketing. And that's what we're known for. We're known to have world-class marketing, right? Our YouTube channel's got over 1.5 million views. We convert a boatload of business off of Google, off Facebook. We have 9 million plus reach across our digital platforms, which rivals some of the biggest brokerages in the world. And we're super tactical. So we use cinematography and storytelling to really cut through the noise in real estate. So they called us, and we put a lot of effort into repositioning and rebranding sites like that are struggling with sales. And we came with the sales team, we had a plan, and we were over indexing on work. Now, we noticed during probably week 6 of that mandate, some things started shifting in terms of like the sentiment that we were dealing with when it came to the team that was managing the site, the internal sales team, the site manager, and how they were treating some of the customers and like the discussions around contract to close. And one of the biggest, most important things to us, our founding principle, is do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. It is what we run everything by when we make decisions. And then we had a site supervisor come in and say something fairly disrespectful to one of our female staff members. I remember that night coming home and sitting down with my partner, my wife, and discussing the site and what had happened and kind of the path forward and potentially giving the leadership team, the organization, the opportunity to correct it. But inherently, when we sat down and we really looked at, the overall alignment of core values, and there was another aspect of it where they were bringing in a lot of scarcity mindset to the sales cycle. And I don't believe in scarcity. I believe in abundance, collaboration over competition. We, instead of chasing the short-term sales, which are a big number, and optically, a lot of people would want that mandate simply so they can say, look at the whole subdivision I sold out, I'm amazing, and look at all the money that I made. We decided to end the relationship. I drove to the GTA. I sat down with the person and just said that we weren't in alignment anymore and wished them all the best and kept the relationship so that we didn't leave things in a bad place. But we did realize very quickly that we were not in alignment with these people. And making sure that we were clear that, hey, if you want to hire somebody out of high school to sit at the model and register names and run it that way, by all means, that's probably a better fit for you than a world-class marketing firm. Our time deployment against an asset like that did not make sense. So the reason I share that story is a perceived screw up of being in misalignment actually ended up being one of the best things ever for our business, right? The quote that I wanted to share is, the righteous keep moving forward and those with clean hands become stronger and stronger. About a month after we left the mandate, I was at a dinner party and a gentleman came up to me at the dinner party and he told me he was very happy that we were no longer on that site. He was actually looking for somebody to represent a site that was twice as big as that one, and that he didn't see the alignment with our brokerage and that specific client. And he said it was actually making him second guess having us as an option because of that misalignment. So had I stayed in the mandate, I would have missed one of the biggest opportunities in my life. And not only that, the loyalty that I got from my team for us standing up for them, the lessons that I learned in terms of what my deployment looks like on the New Dev site was some of the most invaluable lessons I've ever learned, right? I think a failure is only a failure if you decide to look at it as such. And if I had gotten in my head and thought, well, what are all the other agents going to think about me? Like, my sign was up, my sign is down, they're going to think I got fired. I could care less what they think about me because I know the truth of what happened in that mandate, what we decided to do, and we moved forward from there. And they move forward, and life is great for everybody. If I spend all my time worrying about what other people are going to think about me, it means I'm not actually doing anything of significance myself. So if you spend any of your time worrying about what other people think about you, I promise you, you are worrying about the wrong people. Nobody I have ever met that has done anything of significance spends any time talking about people that they are doing better than. That is just a fact of life. Second point, another place where I failed, content. And you're like, Justin, what do you mean you failed at content? I see you literally everywhere. You look like you're the busiest man on the planet. Might surprise you, I'm actually more accessible than most people because of the structure of how we do our content. That's a discussion for another day. But man, I shot thousands of short form video. Gary Vee was my inception back in like 2013. I saw it before he was really Gary Vee. And then he started putting out the Daily V in like 2014, 2015. I started doing the V Closers Daily. You can go back to Instagram, search that hashtag, and see some of my worst content out there. I was doing 1 minute long videos before those even did anything in the algorithm. And I didn't get likes, didn't get comments, didn't get a lot of followers. I think I hovered at like 1,000 or 2,000 followers after like 4 or 5 years of work, right? But I kept going. And, I started hearing things from people close to me that made me second guess myself, right? I remember one guy specifically, I was driving to work and he called me asking me about content production and he wanted to do more content. But then he told me, he's like, how many times a day do you post? So I was like, 3? Probably this was on Instagram at the time. He's like, that's a lot. Like, maybe it's too much. And he's really got in my head. And then I heard another guy that was fairly close to me, a client of mine actually, called and said it in kind of a backbiting way that he asked me if I thought I was becoming a life coach. I started laughing and I'm like, no, not at all. I'm like, I'm in production. I share my thoughts, but my goal is to be the best real estate agent on the planet. Like, all I do is sell real estate. I just happen to document what I'm doing. I share my marketing tactics and like, that's what I do. Right. And obviously mindset stuff like this. And I was like, it attracts business and I end up bringing clients in on the commercial side. They end up buying houses. Like, there's a whole reason why I do it the way I do it, but it got in my head because I'm a human being. And I started thinking about the people that were giving me the advice. And then I realized that the people that were asking or saying these things to me had some type of internal conflict that they were putting on me, right? It would have been easy to listen. It would have been easy to fall in line with the opinions, or it would have been easy to fall in line with the opinions of people who weren't doing the thing that I wanted to do. Or I could turn around and look at the people that were doing the thing that I wanted to do. And I was listening to more, say, Gary Vee and other people that I respect, and listening to podcasts and listening as a creator, not to copy them, but to find my own version of success. And had I listened to that first group of people that were, again, focusing on somebody that they were not doing better than and throwing negativity at them, I would never have been able to create the platform that I've created today. And through content production, through stumbling my way through thousands of short form videos, hundreds of listing videos, we've built, as I said earlier, a reach of over 9 million people globally. I am going to double that next year, probably. And I'm working on quadrupling that over the next 5 years. Not because I want a lot of subs, not because I want a lot of views, because I am building a platform. Because when my clients hire me, I can show them the data that I get 5 to 10 times the amount of reach on every one of my listings than realtor.ca. But Justin, realtor.ca is such a big website. How is that humanly possible? Well, I get a little report saying, look, how many views you got on realtor.ca? 2,200. And then I look at all the views and leads that I generated. Oh, 28,000, 56,000. It's very confusing to people, but that's what I'm building. So the key with that story is a quote from Michael Jordan, and it's many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Actually, that's Thomas Edison. The second quote was, I can accept failure. Everybody fails at something, but I cannot accept not trying. So want to ask you a question if you're watching this. What is something that you want to do that you're scared of failing at, right? Ask yourself that question. Like there's probably something that you know could change your entire life, but you're too scared of failure that you won't take that first step forward. And then I want you to think of Michael Jordan and all that he accomplished and ask yourself, would you be able to accept coming to the end of your life not trying? Because that's how I think about the steps forward that we're taking in our business. And it's not all business related. You know, I think life is more than just making money. You make a lot of money doing the business that you do, but you become wealthy through the relationships that you make through the work that you do. I can go on and on. You know, I built standard operating procedures that I put hundreds of hours into. The perfect listing sequence, 42 checklists of what that looks like. I implemented those checklists for my team. I overloaded them with tasks. And then I went back to the well and said, okay, what are things that aren't actual tasks? Following up with the client every week? Well, that should live in a different system, right? The SOPs, or the standard operating procedures in business, are never meant to be one and done. Anybody that has built any type of business or systems, they'll start a document, they'll build the SOP, and then they'll review it as they're doing the thing. And then they'll come back to it a quarter later and realize that they can eliminate 5 or 6 steps, right? I figured out the right fit clients by working with the wrong fit clients. I found the right software and media gear by buying the wrong software and media gear. I discovered the right SOPs and protocols by testing the wrong ones, but at least I tried. Every single success in my life has been through growing through some of the most difficult adversity you can ever imagine. Every single time I've felt the world coming at me or something negative happening in my life, I think of the Incredible Hulk. And every time they shoot him, they get stronger. Every time somebody's ever come after clients of mine, a lot of shady things happen in the real estate industry. I'm aware of it. When people try and poach my team, they show me the screenshots. I'm good with it. It doesn't faze me because the more they attack me, the bigger I get. There is no success without resistance. And if you can shift your mindset as to what you feel when you hear the word failure or resistance, you'll realize you're getting a little bit stronger every single day. We are addicted to instant gratification, and we are allergic to adversity in a world where we should actually flip those two. The world absolutely lied to you when they said that the easy button is what you need, right? What if I just figure out what that guy, what was the secret to him getting 50,000 followers or 200 comments on every post? He paid somebody. Oh, all of a sudden, it's not as scary to put out a piece of content and not have it go viral. It's more consistency over time that will help you build a community that could change your entire life. Hiring employees. How many times had I hired employees needing something, having a need in my business that I needed to fix so bad that when I got a resume, I'm like, that person's perfect. I built an entire narrative around their life and their ambitions that they didn't tell me, and then brought the person on, regardless if they were onboarded or offboarded correctly or incorrectly. Going through that period of time made me realize the right hiring process, and that it actually started with vision and being in alignment with our core values and what we're creating. And some people are for us and some people are not for us. And it's not a net negative if somebody dequalifies themselves from our ecosystem, right? I think you can load up your life with so much negativity that it prevents you from finding the positive path forward in your life. Have you ever hired an employee or been in partnership with somebody that ended very, very poorly and it was left not feeling great? I'm sure it's happened to almost every leader out there. And instead of blaming the other person and putting the narrative on them, go back, look at it as an opportunity to improve the next hire. What they should have told you is if you find things by doing the actions that lead you to them, not by some course somebody sold you, right? You find the right path by doing the action. Success for you is likely in the actions that you are avoiding. There's two things I want to say. And it's a line that I use in real estate all the time when I sit down with sellers. We discuss this all the time. They want to know what's my house worth, right? And I'm like, well, we'll find out when we list it. And they're very confused. I'm like, well, here's the reality of it. Here's the math, right? I will price your house in a very proprietary way. We're the only brokerage that does it this way. And here's your range of value. Here's the low. Here's the backflip price that I think we can achieve because we're very unique at what we do. Here's what the market would probably tell you your house is worth. And our goal is pricing strategy and marketing strategy to net market or above as much as humanly possible through negotiations and marketing. But real estate is art and math. There is an art and a sentiment that you need to be aware of and know how to navigate as much as you need to be aware of the math. Business is the exact same thing. Business is art and math. Life is art and math. So I would say get dialed in on the math, understand the optics of what you're trying to create. Let it start with the vision of what you're trying to create. Then look at your organizational chart. And even if it's just you, I was by myself with my wife, then we hired a VA and I was taking my own photos. I was doing all the Facebook ads. Understand that math and that organizational chart piece of it, there's an art to it where it's going to be difficult, right? It's not going to be easy. And when you feel like you're failing, that's actually when you're probably growing the most. The real estate market today is in a season where it is an absolute roller coaster. There's weeks where there's all kinds of activities, showings, offers, and there's other weeks where it's absolutely crickets. I told my team yesterday, now is actually the best opportunity for you to sit down and map out your plan for 2024. Look at the math. What are your goals? What's it going to take to actually get there? Be aware of the art because you're a human being that isn't rigid and you need to be fluid and you need to be able to adapt. Now I'm going to ask you a question one more time. How has failure shaped your life?